A very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to the ICANN initiative, the Hindu and Indian Express analysis. We will start the day with a success story of the day. So, we will be talking about a success story of RTI. So, RTI, we have already discussed in detail the pros or the benefits or and also the limitations of the RTI. So, what we'll be looking at today is a success story of the RTI. So this story is about a fraudulent NGO which was exposed by the application of RTI. So this NGO had published an advertisement in newspaper in Ranchi where it called for appointments for the coordinators at the block and the district levels to run a scheme that's called as Gramin Khadya Yojana, that is rural food scheme. So the emoluments that it offered in the advertisements was also very lucrative. And it claimed that through the scheme, it is going to provide the daily consumables to the rural people at a very, very cheap rates. So, looking at this advertisement, two RTI activists, Vishnu Rajgaria and Amit Kumar Jha, they filed an RTI and to the Public Information Officer, and they received all the information about such a scheme being run by the government and also the presence of such an NGO being registered. So, what they found out when they received the RTI information was that this NGO, particular NGO, had never contacted the government or the administration regarding the scheme, and nor had the government issued any directive regarding the same. And also, the whatever information they got through the RTI, they found that there was no provision for such a scheme in the first place at all. So this way, this fraudulent NGO was exposed, and later on, the district officials, the administration contacted the NGO and its officials, and finally, the activities of the NGO was closed down. So this shows the successful example of RTI, which can be quoted in your answers. RTI is a topic under in your GS2 syllabus and transparency and accountability, and it can also come under the GS4 syllabus. So whenever you may have a direct question on RTI, you can quote the success story. Also, you may have an essay on the importance of transparency and accountability, in which case, again, you can use this as a story for your introduction as well. So, now we will start with the first topic of the day. First, we will be looking at the role of governor. As far as the topic of governor is concerned, we have already discussed in detail various recent examples, and also we have taken up questions on governor where we have discussed in detail the issues and the appointments and the or any other issue related to the office of governor and the way forward as well. So, in recent news today is the governor of West Bengal, Jagdeep Dhankar. So, what Jagdeep Dhankar has done that is there in the recent news is that he has met the Home Minister Amit Shah, and he has complained to the Home Minister against the West Bengal government and administration. Let's see what this reflects about the role of the governor. So, under Article 159, it is the governor's duty to preserve, to protect, and to defend the Constitution of India. So, in this regard, we have seen earlier that the governor plays or wears a dual hat. On the one hand, he is a constitutional head of the state, and on the other, the governor is appointed by the center and therefore acts as a link between the center and the states in a federal polity of India. So he has that dual role that is to be played. But at the end of the day, the role of the governor should be impartial and has to be a neutral arbiter of any disputes between the center and the states. So governor should not be a representative of the center and should not propagate the center's agenda in the states. And also the governor must have good relations or good rapport with the chief minister of the state, so that there are no such hurdles or impediments in the progress of the state. So in this case, the governor has complained against the state government and the chief minister to the Home Minister of India. So in this meeting, the first thing he said is that looking at the situation in West Bengal during the coronavirus crisis, so the governor has said that there is this cliff edge governance situation in the state. And he was also told that there is this situation of corruption and nepotism in the state which is thriving. So even before much before this case, the Supreme Court has already made it clear that in Devraj Ar's case, that charges like there is corruption and nepotism in the state cannot be a valid reason to impose Article 356 or the President's rule in the rather emergency in the state. So this was already held by the Supreme Court in the Devraj case. But in this case, again, the governor has highlighted the deteriorating law and order situation and the prevalence of corruption and nepotism in the country. So all of these. Apart from this, the governor himself has ended up in confrontations with the vice chancellors and various universities in the states. And also, the governor has himself held various media interactions and has also written up so many frequent Twitter posts. So, a governor is supposed to be an impartial functionary, and he is supposed to be not interacting much with the media, because it is a function of the government to undertake governance and to be interacting with the people regarding various measures taken by the government. Whereas the governor plays an impartial role, and his role is mainly behind the scenes. But here the governor has not just complained to the Home Minister about the prevailing corruption and deteriorating law and order condition in the state, but has also interacted with the media through and also written several Twitter posts. So this shows an activist role that is being played by the governor, which is not in synchrony or not in sync with the constitutional articles or the constitutional spirit. So this is an example which can be quoted when you are talking about the negative points of the governor. And this whole episode is not to say that there are no issues in the West Bengal government. There are several issues. There are concerns which needs to be handled. The corona crisis, the pandemic crisis has not been dealt with properly. There are issues regarding that, and all of these requires government's prompt response. But however, all of these doesn't mean that the governor can directly go to the Home Minister complaining about the government like that. And also it doesn't mean that the governor will get an excuse to give his opinions randomly to the public with the help of the media. So this indicates, this can be used as an example when you are writing any answer on governor and the activist role that played by the governor, which can impact the administration in the state. Now we move to the next topic, which is issues related to the DISCOMs. So this topic also we have already dealt earlier, where we have discussed in detail the issues that these distribution companies face and the financial distress that they are in. So what is there in the recent news is again the same thing, that these DISCOMs are further seeing a deterioration in their financial health. So now we'll be looking again at the various issues that these DISCOMs are facing. First is the demand in the electricity itself. So there are two major groups of who are actually using electricity in bulk. So one is the industrial establishments and the commercial establishments. So these were the units that were actually having a lot of electricity demand. But now because of the COVID crisis and the various partial lockdown in various states, the demand by these industrial and commercial establishments have reduced a lot. So the electricity demand has fallen nearly 16% in the first quarter of this fiscal. So therefore there is a fall in the demand itself, and therefore these power distribution companies, they don't have to supply electricity, so they are not getting the revenue also. Now this fall in the demand has also led to this revenue gap, because they don't have to supply and they don't get the revenue. So this when we talk of the revenue gap, what had been this revenue gap is between 42,000 to 45,000 crores this year. The revenue gap is also increased. In fact, when these DISCOMs supply the power to various residential lines, the tariffs are kept low. So, but the tariffs for the industrial and the commercial establishments is high. So therefore, this is actually used to kind of cross-subsidize the domestic tariffs for electricity. So when these units are themselves not demanding much electricity, the revenue that these DISCOMs are getting has reduced to a large extent. So therefore, these DISCOMs are staring at a revenue gap of nearly 42,000 to 45,000 crore this year. So this is a huge revenue gap. The third issue is the government support. So by looking at the precarious financial condition of these discoms, the government had announced a liquidity support to these discoms to the tune of nearly 90,000 crore. So, whenever these discoms are actually the power distribution companies, so they will be able to distribute the power only when they acquire the power from the power generating companies. So, when these discoms acquire power from the power generating companies, they will have to pay these generating companies some amount for the power that they have acquired. So, they were unable to pay to these power generating companies because they themselves were in poor financial health. So, in order to help these discoms to pay their dues to the power generating companies, the government announced a liquidity support to be given to these discoms to the tune of 90,000 crores. But however, the offtake on these loans has been very slow so far. So the loans that these discoms have taken has been very slow. So the offtake has been slow. This shows that the government support is also has not been very adequate, has also not been very encouraging to the discoms. Next issue is the failure of the reform measures. So earlier, government had initiated this scheme called as UDAY, Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, to help these discoms who are in such financial conditions to be able to come emerge out of their debt conditions and be able to pay to these power generating companies. So Uday scheme was started by the government. But however, now if you look at the losses of these discoms, they were estimated to be about 28,000 crore. But now a revised auditing has been done of these losses that have been booked by these discoms, and it is found that this estimate has now been revised upwards to nearly 49,000 crore. So this is the amount of the losses that is there, and they have been revised upwards from this estimate of 28,000 crore. So this 49,000 crore losses is almost very similar or very closer to the pre-Uday levels. So which shows that the Uday as a scheme, what it was expected to provide to the discoms to help them emerge out of their debt crisis, that has not actually happened. So in a way, this loss of figure of 49,000 crore is very closer to the pre-Uday levels, and it shows that the Uday as a scheme has not been able to help these discoms get over their debt crisis. So this shows a failure of measures. Next is a tariff hikes. So these tariff hikes, time and again, the discoms have recommended that the tariffs for the domestic lines will have to be hiked if the power distribution has to be kept economical. But however, this has not happened. There has been inadequate and also irregular tariff hikes which are being done, and that too is not sufficient to cover the cost by these discoms. So tariff hikes have not been regular and adequate. The next issue is the AT&C losses, that is the aggregate technical and commercial losses, have also been high. The Uday scheme also aimed to reduce the AT&C losses, but this has not happened to the extent to which it was planned. So these AT&C losses are leading to a loss of the power that these discoms are acquiring by paying some price. So this loss is also has not been under control. Next is the delays in the government subsidy. So therefore, what these discoms, whenever they have to acquire power and they have to distribute, they get a subsidy from the state governments, which the center gives it to them, and state also give their own subsidies, which are given to these discoms. When the states delay these dispersal of the subsidy to the discoms, then the discoms do not have finances in their hands. So that is again leading to a very poor financial condition of the discoms. So the last issue is the delays in the government subsidy. So in this context, what way forward? The way forward as suggested in this editorial is that recently government has come out with certain amendments to the Electricity Act 2003. These amendments talk about privatizing the discoms itself, or by giving or moving forward to a direct benefit transfer. Instead of giving subsidies to these discoms, they must be provided with direct benefit transfers. That is, direct benefit transfers can be provided to those people who are getting the electricity, and these discoms, they must be having the freedom to charge at a higher cost, whereas those people who use the electricity, for them the direct benefit transfer will be there. So rather than giving subsidies to the discoms will be able to sell the power at a higher rates, whereas these direct benefit transfer will be done to the purchasers of these power, or the whoever is getting the power from discoms. So this model has now been introduced through the amendments in the Electricity Act 2003. So these reforms will have to be pushed more urgently to ensure that the financial condition of these discoms will improve. So now we move on to the next topic. And yes, by the way, governor topic comes under the GS2 syllabus, where we are talking about the state and the central governments and the constitutional offices and all that. And this discoms will come under the issue regarding discoms will come under GS paper 3, where you're talking about power and energy and infrastructure and all that. So it will come under GS paper 3. So now we go to the next topic, which is related to data regulation. So the recent news in this is that the government has set up a committee to regulate the non-personal data, or NPD. So a committee has been set up by the government to regulate the non-personal data. So in this context, we will have a look at the various aspects of regulating this non-personal data as by the committee. So in order to properly regulate the non-personal data, this committee talks about three important things. One is the data principles, other is the data custodians, and the third is the data trustees. So we will now have a look at these three things which the report talks about more importantly. So first it says that whenever it is non-personal data, the non-personal data of whom? It can be of individuals, it can be of companies, or it can also be of communities. So it basically first talks about the key stakeholders who are involved, that is whose data it is. The data principles are those whose data you're talking about. They can be individuals, they can be companies, or they can be communities. But till now, the data of individuals and communities and how they need to be governed was well understood. But when you talk about the data of communities, then what is this data of communities? How do you define the communities? All of these is very challenging. For instance, the report talks about what kind of data regarding the community. It can be the data of the citizen groups in the neighborhood, or it can be the data which is about the public consent that is given to some project proposal. So there can be various types of community data. So how this is going to be regulated is also being spoken about in this report. But however, when the report talks of the communities, what will be the rights and functions of the community, there is no clarity on that. So this is the issue, that while it talks about the communities and they being one of the data principles, that is, it introduces the concept of community data, it fails to give clarity on what will be the rights and what will be the functions of the community. So this is the first issue that is related to the data principles. Now we go to the second one, which is the data custodians. So data custodians talk about, first of all, who are data custodians. So this report is not clear whether these data custodians are going to be some government entities or are they going to be some private entities. That is not clear. And what these data custodians do is they collect the data, store it, process it, and use it, which in a manner that is in the best interest of the data principle. But what is best interest? That again is very ambiguously defined, and this is a very subjective definition and understanding and interpretation. So what is the best interest of the data principles and how that is going to be clearly defined without any ambiguity. So that is another issue that is coming out in this. And also, as I said, that these data custodians collect, store and process the data. So in order to collect the data, they will need to engage with the data principle. While engaging with an individual is understood and engaging with the community is engaging with the company is understood, but how is it going to engage with the community? So that issue is again not clearly mentioned in this report. It is not clear how the data custodians are going to engage with the community. The report also talks about the power that these data custodians have to monetize the data. So, whatever data they have collected from the individuals, companies, or communities, they can monetize them. So, this kind of gives rise to a conflict of interest, that these custodians are supposed to use the data in the best interest of the data principles, but they also have the power to monetize the data. So when they have the power to monetize the data, maybe this best interest may be compromised. So this will lead to a conflict of interest for data custodians. So these are the issues when we talk about the data custodians. Now the third stakeholder is the trustees. So data trustees are what? When we talk of a community, the community as a whole, rather than the community as a whole getting engaged with the custodians, there will be some data trustees who are the representatives of these community, and they will start engaging with the data custodians. So that is the whole concept of the data trustees being introduced. So they will be the representatives of the community. But however, what will be the powers, what will be the functions of these data trustees, and what will be the composition of this trust that is going to be established, all of that is not clearly mentioned in this report. So this is the third issue with respect to the data trustees. So we have seen that while regulating the non-personal data of users, then there will be three stakeholders. One is the trustees, then is the custodians, and then is the data principals. And we have seen the issues related to all these three. So this can be a full-fledged question in itself, that we have previously seen the importance of data protection and what is the data protection regime in India. We have seen the provisions of the recent data protection bill that has come out with the recommendations of the B.N. Sri Krishna committee. All of that we have discussed previously. So this is a new facet when we are just discussing a data protection law. Here is something that we are discussing about the data regulation, not data protection, but rather data regulation, where the data will be the non-personal data. So this itself can be a full-fledged question when you talk about the data as such, which can be part of your GS3 syllabus, where you talk about cybersecurity or various things about the internet and data. So these were the only three topics that went in today's two newspapers. There were other topics which were again not important. So like keeping vigil is that Delhi has now seen a reduction in the cases, but then it still has to be more cautious. Then this is again on India's Quad and Malabar initiative, which we have already seen yesterday, and there was nothing new in it. And this was about the Delhi universities and how the cutoff is now increasing, and what is a way out, which was nothing concrete was there in this. And reset for agriculture, again we have seen a lot, we have discussed a lot on this topic of agriculture. Again, when should the schools reopen? So this is a matter of debate. So this also again the same thing about India, China, about when so many vaccine candidates are there and countries across the world are racing to come out with the vaccine. So we should be more cautious about it. So that was the theme of this article. So all these articles, they were not relevant from the exam point of view. So from today, I thought I'll start giving you some homeworks as well, because if you look at the topics today, governor's role and then data regulation and what was the one more topic that we read on power discoms. So on all of these three, we have already discussed several times, and also we have taken up holistic questions on all these. So therefore, what we will be doing from now on is, again, as we have already discussed so many questions, even in the future, the same topics will get repeated. So there will be not much scope for asking a question again. But then we will use this as an opportunity to consolidate your notes and for our revision purpose. So unless I give you a homework, I'm not really sure if you're going to go back to your governor's role notes and revise that. So from today, what we'll be doing is I'll start giving what is called as this 5 to the power 5, where I'll be giving 5 things to you, and you'll have to give me 5 points under each of these headings. So this you will have to do in the comment section, and what we'll be doing is whatever comments you are giving in the comment section, we are going to collate it, and form one holistic page of answer on all these issues that I have written here on the slide. And tomorrow I'll be discussing them with you only for revision purpose. So you have to write 5 issues which are associated with governor. Then you have to come out with 5 recommendations that are given by important committees like Sarkar, Panchi or Second ARC. Then you have to write 5 most important judgments that have been given. Then the 5 most important articles of the constitution that you'll have to remember when you write an answer on governor. And then 5 positive role. All these will refer to the negatives only. So 5 positive role regarding the role of the governor. What positive role have they played in the development of the state or whatever. So these are the 5 things, and under each heading you have to write the 5 most important issues, 5 most important recommendations, 5 most important judgments, like that. So you have to write these 5 headings and then come out with 5 points under each of these headings. So this is strictly for your revision purpose, and all of you, as much as possible, do reply in the comment section and come out with this, because eventually we as a community are going to help out each other. So if we help out each other, then that is good for us only, that we don't have to rely on any other external source. So tomorrow we will be collating whatever you are writing in the comment section, and then we'll be discussing it again for the revision purpose. So now on governor's issue, we have already discussed several examples before, and we have also holistically discussed a question. Today and tomorrow, by tomorrow evening, you will have to write in the comment section in this format 5 issues on 5 points under each of these 5 issues. So writing is your second revision now. And then tomorrow night, when the video is going to be uploaded, when I record the video, I'm going to collate and discuss these 5 things again. So that is going to be your third round of revision. So this will help you register this topic in your long-term memory, and that will also help you to recall better in the exam, and without any wastage of time, all the relevant things are going to come to your mind and you will write a very good answer. So this is the purpose of this initiative. So whenever I come across a topic on which we have already discussed, we will be taking up this homework. If we come across any new topic, then of course we'll take up a question on that. So that's it for today. Thank you.